Hi guys, welcome back to the Frugal Homestead. So I don't know about you guys, but it is full on canning season here. We have did probably almost 200 jars already. This year is a big year for us. Normally we don't do quite as many now that all the kids are grown, but we're just restocking our shelves. So it occurred to me that I should maybe do a canning tomatoes video. I don't think I've did one in the past, and I think it's a nice basic way to start canning if you've never canned before. Now I want you to keep in mind today, I have to can during the day, can't do it late at night because it takes a little bit of time to get done. So you may hear a lot of background noise, like we have the grid ties over there that's going. There may be fans going, as we don't generally air condition our house. So, or sometimes the pots get a little bit crazy on us. So let's get started. Okay, so these are some of the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a canning funnel. This fits perfectly down in the jars. This little thing, you're going to use it as a magnet on the end of it, and you use that for your jar lids. You use the other end to get air bubbles out of your jars. This is a jar holder. You use it to get your jars in and out of your pot. And you always want to mark your jars after you get done canning them with the year that you canned them and what they are. That way you can always use your oldest jars first. Okay, so you always want to start your canning process with sterilized jars. I've already sterilized my jars and these are ready to go. I'll do a video later on to show you exactly how you can sterilize your jars. Almost all recipes just say refer to the manufacturer. Well, if you're like me, you've got probably 10 different manufacturers here. So I will do a video later explaining how to sterilize jars, but for now, mine's ready to go. Okay, also some ingredients that you will need. You need canning salt. Make for sure you get canning salt. You cannot use regular table salt to can with. So make sure you get canning or pickling salt. You're going to need lemon juice because you need a little bit of acidity to your tomatoes because tomatoes are not as acidic as they used to be. And obviously, you're going to need a bunch of tomatoes. Now this may seem like a bunch, but this is actually the end of ours. We've canned approximately 8 bushels already this year. Okay, to start off, you want to boil about a half of a kettle full of water. Doesn't matter what kettle you use. I just tend to use my canner because it's big and it's a lot easier. Because first we are going to blanch our tomatoes. So to start off, you want to core it. Cut off any bad spots. And then just put an X in the bottom and it'll help whenever you get ready to peel your tomatoes. I'm going to get all these cored and ready to go into the canner to blanch, and I'll be back. Okay, so I got my tomatoes ready to go into the hot water. You want to make sure your water is actually boiling, because if it's not quite boiling, it'll take them longer to blanch and then your tomatoes get super hot. So you don't want that. You just want them in there long enough that they start to peel the skins off, and that's it. So my water's boiling really good. Then you're just going to start sticking them in. Generally it takes about 3 minutes. Try not to get burnt whenever you splash. I do all the time. You could actually use something to lower them down in, but I'm always in a hurry. You only want your pot about half full with water, because once you get your tomatoes in, it's going to bring the water up so much. Alright, we're going to let these boil for about 3 minutes, and whenever they're ready, I'll bring you back. Okay, so it's been 2 or 3 minutes. Let's get these out of here. I ran a sink of cold water, and you just put them straight down into the sink of cold water. You'll see how easy these are to peel after you do this. Go. Put my lid back on so I can keep my water hot. I just got a big bowl here. And basically, as you can see, the peeling's starting to come off. You just kind of peel it and it comes right off. Now these peelings we usually feed to the chickens, or my dogs absolutely love tomatoes, so Apollo will be in here visiting later. So, but there you go. You got a nice peeled tomato with very little work. So, sometimes you have to do the water twice to get them to cool off enough. But generally, as we're peeling these, we go ahead and break them into pieces because we're just wanting to do crushed tomatoes, or so we just break them like this so they're easy to go into the jars and ready to go. This is usually Tony's job. But we're down to the last little bit, so he will sit and do buckets and buckets of these and get them peeled and get them ready for me. That's kind of the way we do our canning. Alright, I'm going to finish up this sink, get these ready to go, and then I'll show you how to jar them up. Okay, so the one for sure thing that's going to happen whenever you are blanching your tomatoes is you're going to get tomato juice all over you because they squirt everywhere. Now some people cut these up and chop them and whatever. We just basically use our hands and we break them into quarters, or the bigger ones a little bit less. You can do them however you want them, however you want your finished product in the jar. So first off, I'm going to start with, I have some water over here starting to boil. I know the new ball canning lids, you do not have to boil. But I have some of the older lids, so I'm going to get these boiling. And really I do it with the ball too because I'm just old school. So I just have like an inch of water in here, and just enough so that I can get the lids into the bottom and it be hot. Here in my canner I have just hot water heating up with just a little bit of vinegar in it. That'll keep my jars from getting like, they get a coating on them sometimes if you don't put the vinegar in there. No big deal, you just wipe it off anyway, but I try and remember to put vinegar in. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Alright, we're going to start with the kosher or canning salt. For quarts you want to put 1 tablespoon. You do not have to put salt in tomatoes, but I always do. It's always been the way we've done it. For a pint, you only put 1 teaspoon. Try and get your tablespoon down in there a little bit because you want to try and keep as much off the rim as you can. There we go. Now you want to put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in each jar. It's 1 tablespoon if you're doing pints. I just kind of do them all at one time. That way I know that I'm not forgetting a jar. I do enough for 1 canner at a time. There we go. Now you're going to use your funnel. Do this however you want. I just kind of pick them up and toss them in. I did drain off all the juice off of these, because it's mainly water from your water bath anyway, and if you put that juice in there it just tends to separate and you don't get as many tomatoes in your jars. And just smash them down in there and make sure you get it nice and full. I'll put a little bit more later. You're going to leave about a 1/2 inch headspace on each one of these. Whenever I say headspace, I mean basically you want them just below the rim of your jar. Don't worry, the salt and lemon juice will cook up as they're cooking. Turn those lids off. These tomatoes will be good to use in any recipe that you would normally use stewed tomatoes in, crushed tomatoes in, whole tomatoes, whatever, chili, soups, whatever you like. And to make sure you try and get as much air out as you possibly can. Now you want to take this thing and you just kind of push it down in there and press to the inside and stuff and get out all the air bubbles that you possibly can. After you get done doing that, you may have to add a tomato. I try and lay them the opposite way down so that my seeds don't come up, because if seeds get under your lid, then they don't seal. There we go. Now try and get these going as I fill them up. Gonna always make for sure that you have this thing in the bottom of your canner. That keeps your jars from hitting the bottom. You don't want your jars sitting on the actual bottom of the canner, it will break your jars. So you want to always make sure you have something down in there. There's different types of those. Take one lid out at a time. Screw it just till it's snug. Start setting them in. I'm going to get the rest of these done into the canner and then I'll show you what it looks like in there. Okay, so we have them all in there. You want to try and make sure that you don't have them touching each other. They touch a little bit, but you want the water to be able to get between all the jars. We've got them all ready to go. All you have to do is lower them down in. But you want to make for sure that the water's over top of your lids. So I'm going to add just a little bit more water. There we go. Now we're going to wait until this boils. As soon as it boils, I'm going to set a timer for 45 minutes. And I'll be back whenever they're done. Alright guys, so it's time to get the jars out of the canner. As you can see, we kept them at a good boil the entire time. When you put them on your counter, you want to put them on a towel or something, and you don't want them touching. There they are. Now they may overflow a little bit and spew out a little bit. It doesn't mean they're not going to seal. Just leave them alone. Don't mess with them. Don't move them or anything else. You want to leave them set on the counter for 24 hours. And within no time, you're going to start hearing these things pop. You may hear the lids pop or you may not, but generally you can hear them. These have already been sitting here. This was actually the first batch. As you can see, I didn't put the vinegar in the water. This batch I did. So this will just wipe right off. I'll wash them off right before we put them away. But all of those jars have already sealed. These will seal within probably the next 20 minutes. But you do want to leave them on the counter for at least 24 hours before you put them away. Make for sure that you mark them with the year and what it is. That way it's easy to identify later and you can use your oldest first. Alright, I hope this has been informative. Thanks for joining me. And make sure you hit that notification button and the subscribe button. That way you can see all of our upcoming videos. And I'll see you in the next one.